You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. We are 1 week from signing day. 1 week from today begins the early signing period, and we're obviously keeping an eye on a handful of stories. We know that Bryce Underwood no longer part of the LSU class. The idea now is keep the current commits you have together and see if you can land any other prospects that are out there. Among them, and the biggest among them that are still uncommitted, is Jaem Stewart. You all know the story. Kid from New Orleans. We've talked about it for months. Reclassified from 26 into the class of 2025. He's down to LSU, Ohio State, Oregon, and Southern Cal. He was at Southern Cal 2 weekends ago. He was at Oregon last weekend. This weekend, he's expected to be up in C-Bus to watch Ohio State against Michigan. And Steve Wiltfong, National Recruiting Director for On3, on Tuesday night put in his prediction for Jaem Stewart to Southern Cal. Southern Cal is, you may know, I think some people are maybe confused by this. Southern Cal is a private school, and they are loaded. And also, the defensive line coach at Southern Cal is from New Orleans, so there's a relationship there with Jaem Stewart as well. I'll be interested to see if that's how it goes. For what it's worth, Wiltfong has his confidence level at 60% there for Jaem Stewart to Southern Cal, but yet 7 days to go. Nearly 2 weeks ago now, I had a conversation with someone very closely associated with LSU's recruiting and roster building process. Say that. I don't like just saying a source told me, but I will protect that person's anonymity. And this person told me that LSU had 3 priorities to finish this class. It was Bryce Underwood, DJ Pickett, and Jaem Stewart. Those were the 3 priorities. Well, Bryce Underwood's already going to Michigan. Jaem Stewart is now being projected to go to Southern Cal. We'll see how they finish there. And Miami and Oregon are actively pursuing DJ Pickett, the 5-star cornerback, the number 1 corner in the country, who's now the cornerstone of LSU's, the crown jewel of LSU's recruiting class with Bryce Underwood gone. I'll tell you this about Jaem Stewart, and I don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out next week what he does. But if you gave me the option today, and listen, I'll tell you, it's a similar mindset that I have with Bryce Underwood. Do I want Bryce Underwood? Absolutely. But in 2025, are you better with Nussmeier or Underwood? 5th-year senior Nussmeier, true freshman Underwood. The answer is Nussmeier. It's not even close. Similarly, what I will tell you about Jaem Stewart is that LSU's offer, NIL offer for Jaem Stewart, the money they had allocated was a hair under $1 million per. A hair under $1 million. Underwood leaves the class, frees up money. I don't know if LSU has adjusted that offer. I don't know. I don't know in the last couple of weeks. It's certainly since Bryce flipped to Michigan. But suffice to say, LSU could comfortably offer Jaem Stewart 7 figures a year. Maybe SC is going much higher than that. Don't know. But I will say this. If you gave me the option in 2025 of Jaem Stewart, a reclassified defensive lineman, so a guy that should be entering his senior year of high school, who's played 1 year of high school football, or go into the portal and get whatever this year's version of Walter Nolan is for 1 year, go into the portal and get me this year's version of Walter Nolan for 1 year. And I would say that 100 times out of 100. Do I want Jaem Stewart in the class? Absolutely. Are you willing to pay a very healthy price to get him into your class and have him a part of your program for 3 years? Absolutely. Are you willing to mortgage the rest of your roster for that one player? Absolutely not. And that should be true with Underwood, with Stewart, with anybody. Brian Kelly said it on Monday. It's not about one player. It's about building the roster to championship level. So, yeah, you're going to push and you'll invest the money that you can, you feel comfortable. But you also have to be responsible in how you allocate your NIL funds. And for 2025, I am more interested in getting an elite level interior defensive lineman. If it's an either or, if it comes down to either or, I would rather the elite level defensive lineman than overpay and break the bank and be all in on a freshman early enrollee who might be awesome. Give me a 3-year starter who is awesome and is a potential All-American that's going to help me impact me immediately the second he steps on campus. So, again, I'm not saying, don't worry about Jakeem Stewart. Of course you want Jakeem Stewart. But I'd also much rather him go to the West Coast and play in Los Angeles for Southern Cal than be in the SEC when you'd have to face him every week. So just something to consider. Again, that's just Steve Wiltfong's projection. I don't know what Jakeem Stewart's going to do. I just feel like I have to stress over and over again. I am not sitting here saying, no big deal. You didn't really want these guys. They're not that good. I am not saying that in any way. You want these guys. Absolutely you do. You have to ask the question, at what cost? There's another projection that's out there right now from, this is Tom Loy from 24/7. Tom Loy is a national college recruiting guy for 24/7. He's predicting Derek Meadows to flip from LSU to Alabama. Now, it's thought it'll either be Michigan, Notre Dame, Alabama. Meadows is expected to be on LSU's campus this weekend. I'll tell you what I know on the Meadows situation, which is, and Shay's detailed this quite a bit since he's been here, which is a lot of people were surprised when Meadows over the summer committed to LSU. He's not been back to LSU since. He's taken a bunch of visits. It's largely been assumed he would flip somewhere, Notre Dame or Michigan most likely. Alabama has gotten in the mix there out of necessity. Alabama had a 5-star wide receiver named Caleb Cunningham, who just last week, or maybe it would have been about 10 days ago. About 2 weeks ago. Caleb Cunningham flipped as a 5-star, flipped from Alabama to Ole Miss. So what you have in that situation with Bama is a team that's pretty desperate now. They had a 5-star receiver committed for a long time. He flipped. Now they're desperate for a receiver. They had funds open up. They can go make a bigger offer. With Meadows, I can tell you the scuttle was his camp was maybe pushing for more money, and I think LSU's comfortable with where they are. Remember, I've explained to you how they broke down the roster by position, and I don't think they want to exceed what they're like. They don't want to end up overpaying. This might be a situation. We'll see. Again, sure, if Derek Meadows signs with LSU, awesome. But what you're not going to do is go overpay for someone who isn't one of the top 3, 4, 5 guys in your class. You're going to have a value that you would associate with him. And if he wants to take it, great. And if someone wants to overpay, okay, then go there. That's just kind of going to be how some of this works. And as we're all getting used to how the roster management is going to work. I would tell you, whatever happens a week from today on signing day will be a giant part of LSU's 2025 roster, but it's incomplete until we see what happens in that first portal window. I'll tell you this, if Underwood signs with Michigan, if Stewart does indeed sign with Southern Cal, if Meadows flips, and then you get to, we'll see what happens with Pickett, and then you get to that first portal window, and you don't go ham, like if we come out of that first portal window and LSU's still sitting there with gigantic roster questions, then it's a giant time to concern. Then it's panic time. Because now you put yourself in the same position you were in a year ago, where you were desperate in that second portal window, and the talent pool was just much more shallow. So, a week from today, big day, bigger day will be what transpires in that first portal window. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.